Disclaimer. This podcast episode contains mature conversational content about problematic child sexual behaviors. If this discomforts you, please click off this episode. We felt as if this would be an important topic to make people more aware of and share with our audience. Thank you, and please enjoy the show.
Welcome back to Partners in Progress. Today we are with the fine people of Blueprint Counseling. Are you guys a nonprofit?
No.
A business in Asheboro, North Carolina. Okay. I guess introductions first. I've already introduced myself in prior episodes, but my name is Ken Shibata. I'm an employee here at Partners Consulting Group. I am the social media manager. I do all of this. I manage our social media page, and I do those sorts of things. I also do some IT, but a lot of it recently has been podcast related. So I guess we'll go left to right. You want to go, Hannah?
Left.
I guess you're right to left then, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. I'm Hannah, and I'm a clinician at Blueprint.
Okay.
I'm Desiree Lambert, and I am the owner of Blueprint Counseling and a clinician.
Okay.
My name is David, and I'm Desiree's husband, and I'm just doing what I'm told to do. That's me.
Here for the ride?
Here for the ride.
Nice.
In my 9 to 5, I'm a government worker. I work for the state and then transitioning into local government.
Gotcha. Okay. So I guess let's start kind of at the beginning. What is Blueprint Counseling? I know you guys said you're clinicians, but counseling service. I mean, I know, but for our audience that doesn't know, what is it that you guys do?
So we pretty much offer all sorts of different types of counseling from ages 3 and up. All different varieties. So anything from those who have trauma to just everyday life issues. So we work with them. We also offer a group, which is Hannah can talk a little bit more about. But yeah, counseling.
Group counseling. Nice. And
Actually, it's like everyday counseling, but you also have like specialized care, trauma-focused therapy. And in addition to these 2 folks, there's 3 other clinicians and 3 other interns that's going to be starting soon. So
you guys do. So mostly for smaller children.
No, it's
everyone?
about 50-50, 3 and up. So as long as they're speaking and walking and all that, we can see them up until they're ready to die.
That's a little dark, but that's good. That's good.
It's
Good that you take care of them until
Extreme
then.
counseling is important. There's all of these things are connected.
I mean, we are clinicians, so we have to have a little bit of dark humor.
You got to relate.
You talk about dark stuff all day. So
Got
for the
to
most part.
keep it positive and inspirational. How did you come to counseling as what you wanted to do and kind of the business that you wanted to start, so to speak? How did this come into fruition?
Pretty much, I just started out wanting to help people. And so I went to school not really knowing what I wanted to do, but just knew I liked psychology and I liked how the mind worked and how things affect us in life.
She was trying to fix me.
I see.
And
That's what it was.
then I finished my bachelor's, didn't really have plans to go get my master's. And before I knew it, I was in the master's program that next fall doing counseling, but never thought I would ever actually work as a clinician. I just wanted the skill set. And then it kind of just fell into my lap where I ended up getting to work with adults who were survivors as well as kids who had been sexually abused, so 3 to 17, and just really fell in love with doing
Helping people, helping them get through things like that, because it's not easy. That's something that really you need someone that understands the brain really get behind. So that's really cool that you guys do that. Oh, okay. So, sorry about that. Why is informed trauma care important compared to therapy? So, are you guys the same as therapy? Because you guys are you? Is that therapy or is counseling separate than therapy? I guess is my question.
I'll let you answer that one a little bit more.
Well, I think So there's different types of therapies, right? You can be an occupational therapist, you can be a behavioral therapist, you can be a massage therapist, right? Counseling specifically works with emotions, behaviors, especially cognitive behavioral therapy, right? And so you can be a therapist, like a mental health therapist, and you cannot be trauma informed. So being trauma informed takes it a little bit further, right? So it's more of a specialized skill set versus maybe somebody who's not trauma informed and they're not working with specific trauma.
What does trauma informed mean? I don't know what that means, and also for the audience.
So trauma informed basically means that we go after we graduate and we have our license to counsel, we go through further training to more so be able to learn how to work with trauma.
It's just an extra
It's
step.
an extra step.
see.
And
Okay.
normally for each type that we do, it takes an extra year. And so, like I currently do 3 different types of trauma counseling. So that took me an extra 3 years, each one separately. You can't do them at the same time. And yeah, we just learn a research-based model that's proven to work with trauma so that you'll yield the same results no matter what type of trauma you're
So
dealing
this is for
with.
specific types of trauma, and you
Any
can't do them at the same
type
time.
of trauma, but different types according to like their age as well as what, like how bad their PTSD symptoms are. So if they're 16 and above and they have severe PTSD, then we can do more of a cognitive processing therapy first. Whereas trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy can be anywhere from 3 up until now 21, but you can use those techniques on anybody. It's just more has the research that it works with
I
the
see.
ages
So
3
that
to
specific
21.
age group. So that's what that you got to do it separately for.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we do another one called Alternatives for Families, and that is more for physical abuse where the kids are still living with the person that abused them. And so not only is the kid in therapy, but also their parent so that they can learn new parenting techniques and how to communicate versus using more of a physical discipline.
I see.
And the people are like navigating, the people that you see, and whether youth or adults, are navigating different stages of life. They're in court systems, and it's evidence-based counseling. So with that, there's a systematic approach that lawyers, the judicial system, DSS, and others can rely on your expertise in those areas to help make decisions and guide processes through a structured legal way. But at the same time, it is impacting their brain and working with them on their emotions and regulation.
There's a lot of psychology there. You just said a lot, and I'm intaking it currently, but that is the help of the psychology degree, right? Or you need to have that understanding of the brain and emotions in order to do what you guys do, which is very cool. So specifically, I guess within Asheboro, this is the business-centric focused Asheboro business podcast. Is there a specific thing you see very often here that you hear that's different than counseling or therapist businesses from other areas? Is there a specific type of counseling that you guys do more here, or like is that different because you're in Asheboro, or is that just a general?
I think that you could find these type of therapies in most cities. I think it's just a matter of like finding a therapist who's been trained and specialized in it. I think in Asheboro, the difference in Randolph County is often we don't think that it's as prevalent as it is. And in fact, it's probably just as bad in some ways, if not worse, in the sense that we don't expect it, so therefore we don't look for it.
A lot of undiagnosed or a lot of
signs of abuse and things like that whenever it comes to trauma therapy. And again, I know we're talking a lot about trauma therapy. We do all different types, anything from basic anxiety to postpartum or couples therapy, but trauma therapy is definitely more of a niche and a specialized therapy that we offer that not everybody offers.
See. So that's the special, unique thing that you guys do at Blueprint is more so in the trauma area, but you guys also do other sorts of things.
Yeah, anything that most counseling agencies offer, we do those type of therapies. But to touch on that, another specialized program that we have is for problematic sexualized behaviors. And I'll let Hannah kind of talk about that because that is a program that she leads, her and
Oh, I see.
Shekinah Fonville at Blueprint. And so, yeah, they lead it together. Shekinah's not here, but can we
people
talk
think.
about it a little bit? And if you guys feel like it's not
Yes,
good, you
I
can
could just cut
edit
it.
it.
Yeah.
Because I do think it's something that is perceived incorrectly. And so
Yeah.
we think of it as this extreme behavior when in fact
It's not as
it's
extreme.
more common than we think. And it shouldn't be something that parents and or kids are so ashamed of they don't get help.
Because it's super stigmatized. Sexual behavior is often super.
And it might not be appropriate for your guys' podcast, but I
You
do
can cut
think
it out.
it's good for the public to hear about and to know, because education helps versus keeping it the stigma of we don't talk about it because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. So a normalized sexual behavior would often be, you find young children, they're curious about specific private body parts. And so oftentimes you might find them kind of showing a sibling like, hey, can I see what you have versus what I have? And a parent finds out, a parent, tells the children, we no longer can do that. It's not appropriate. It doesn't happen again. Whereas a problematic sexual behavior would be the same instance occurring, parents handling it the same way, but the behavior continues to occur. And then it escalates. Or you can even think of something like masturbation, which is a normal sexual behavior for children, but it becomes problematic when it starts to get in the way of everyday life. So a child might
So this is the abnormal part of this.
This is the
when
abnormal
it goes,
part of
When
it.
it goes from, okay, this is normal to, okay, maybe not. That's the
Yeah.
abnormal?
So, like, if
Okay.
you take masturbation, for instance, which is one that I feel like a lot of people automatically think masturbation is problematic, right? But it's a normal occurrence, especially for children, teenagers.
And it doesn't always
Mean
it's
that it's
not always like
problematic.
over sexualized.
Right.
Masturbation in the form of what we do is like what we discuss is more like they might touch themselves and it feels good. Like the way psychology looks at it is that happens from birth up.
Right.
There's just different stages of it.
Yeah.
And so problematic would be if it's getting in the way of, like I said, their normal life. So say every Friday a family gets together, they watch a movie, and the whole family is together. Well, now this one child has discovered masturbation and they're skipping out on family movie night because they want to masturbate. Or they're trying to masturbate during the family movie night, right? In front of other people or under covers or something like that. So that's where it becomes problematic. It's getting in the way of normal family life.
This is just one instance of the abnormal. There's like a ton of
there's
others,
other
but,
abnormal behaviors, but I feel
Touching
like
other
those,
kids, pornography.
But that's just where you not draw the line. I guess it's a very gray line, but that's the category.
So that's one category, and I feel like that one usually resonates with most people because you can see where it could be normal.
Yeah.
And then you have to
Navigate.
we have to do a lot of helping parents navigate of, okay, that behavior is not abnormal.
Because I guess
It's
a lot of
completely
parents
normal.
don't really know. That's the education part of
Yeah,
this, right?
that's the education
is that
part of it.
normal? It's probably
Right.
fine, which is a terrible way to go about it, I guess. But yeah.
And on the flip side of that, with problematic sexualized behavior, it used to be this stigma that if you're sexually abused, that's why you act out and you might touch somebody else. Now, and that used to be more of a truth, that normally you didn't see those problematic behaviors unless that kid was also sexually abused or had some sort of experience. Whereas now we see actually it's happening more frequent because the access of internet. Where they're exposed to a lot more, even on Roblox or
Oh God.
pornography.
That's terrible.
A lot of my kids.
That is a lot of our kids do have those experiences through that, and that's why Roblox is not good for anybody to have.
Unless you're an adult, because you get to make that decision.
But with kids, we really pretty much say like that's a no. It used to be under supervision, and now we're saying like not at all. It's not appropriate at all. Roblox.
Derek,
kids to
our
have.
general manager, his nephews they play Roblox in the corner of that office over there.
Yeah,
in
and so
South Bend.
that's our number one
That's like the
site right
number
now.
one.
Maybe you should talk to Derek.
Derek, are you listening right now? We need to make sure.
It's like our number one site where there's a lot of issues with it, and
Because it's a bunch of different kids all culminating.
it's not
that-
just kids, it's also adults
There's a lot of
pretending to be kids.
Is that so?
exploitation
this is-
happening.
okay, I played Roblox when I was like 12. I don't think I ever got into like the weird stuff, but now you have to like verify your age on it and stuff. Which
So
does
people
that
can
help?
lie.
Has that been different?
So
It doesn't.
we actually just had a
I
conversation
think
about
even a
this.
17-year-old can click yes, I'm 18.
Yeah.
Really?
But we just had a conversation about this in a consultation group that we have for our PSV.
Because I think I remember I have a Roblox account from when I was 12, but it was making me like scan my driver's license or something like that to
So
do
now
that.
it's like a facial recognition from what I understand, and they're only doing that because there's like sexual exploitation, like
Human
case-
trafficking happening.
there's a lot of stuff
Oh.
happening, and there's been a lot of lawsuits
Roblox?
on Roblox.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, this
I
is
know. It's like
Roblox
right?
is like the number one, and I'm guilty of it.
I
Because
played
as much
natural
as
disaster
I-
survival and like I don't know some shooter games. I don't
It
know. That's
pretty much
weird.
has
Yeah.
just now become something where video games used to be fun, and I mean, I used to play video games all the time. I
Yeah.
love them, but now whenever I think about my kids playing video games, they're exposed to so much more, and they're not protected while they're playing video games.
Mm-hmm.
So even my 11-year-old talked about that on a video recently. Like, I just want to be able to play video games and not have to worry about somebody hurting me or exploiting
That's
me.
I guess that's also why there's so many like more now like privacy and accessibility settings in a lot of games. Because I know for a while Fortnite, I'm sure you guys know that one. You hear about that one a lot. It had like voice chat, like limiting stuff based on what your age setting was in your Epic Games account. But that's a tough like. You gotta let kids be kids, but because of the internet, it's impossible to let kids just be kids.
100%.
Because this was before I was a kid, but probably someone who's probably 10, 15 years older than me. I don't know if you guys did, but like you would bring your console to someone else's house and do a LAN sort of thing. And so it's just you and your buddies. And, now it's easier so you can, just hop on at the same time
Like,
from
hey,
your house.
meet me at,
But
like-
also that,
I'll say, one thing that I think about that I've learned with the PSB program is that
what is PSB?
PSB was the problematic sexual behaviors, right? These
Perfect.
are the acronyms that I hear
Acronyms,
these
yeah,
ladies
yeah.
say all the time. So I understand. But during this program, it is pretty unique, right? I mean, there's only a few clinicians across North Carolina that offer this service. Blueprint's the only one in Randolph County, and as far as I'm aware
So
of.
this is the lack of possible support is what you were mentioning earlier.
And what they're doing, I mean, and we can talk more about this later, is they're offering it online, so they can offer services
Anywhere.
for people across North Carolina. But PSB programs looking at Guilford, Moore County, Davidson County, Montgomery, Chatham. Like I'm not certain if any of them have. But they're limited across the state, and so that is something that you guys have been able to do. And I think another distinguishable thing to think about, right, is problematic sexual behaviors in that program does not necessarily mean abusive behaviors, right? There's a difference between there could be students who are exhibiting, I think students, because I'm thinking about young folks, but there could be clients who are exhibiting, problematic sexual behaviors that have not crossed the line into an abusive situation to others. And so there's a whole level of stigma here that this range is pretty,
You have to be very comfortable with the topics that we talk about.
Yeah, which is
And-
normally the ones that everybody says, shh, like, we
Don't
don't
ta- we're
This
not
is
gonna
like
talk
having the
about
puberty
those.
talk with your kid the first time. It's that kind of awkwardness.
Which is part of the program, is we do that with parents. And oftentimes we have parents who are like, oh, I don't want to talk about this with my kid. But parents have to participate. That's a part of the program, is parents meet 1 hour every week and kids meet 1 hour every week.
Separately?
Separately,
Oh,
and then sometimes together.
Oh, just so you can tell them different things, what they're
Yeah.
doing wrong or right, or
Well, not necessarily. It's a lot of psychoeducation. So we're teaching them about specific behaviors, how to help with certain things. we're giving them parenting skills to use at home.
Mhm.
And then we're also giving them the same material that we're teaching kids, because we want to make sure that they know exactly what we're teaching kids.
And so they can also apply it in their
so
own
that they can
education at
apply
home.
it. Mhm.
Well, without parents, whenever it comes to kids, if the parents
Yeah.
aren't on board with the process,
It doesn't
then the
really
kids
work.
aren't going to be
Right.
successful
Yeah.
either.
Because it has to be constant with a kid, right?
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
just
I
be
see
at an
them.
hour at a counseling
Right.
place that they don't want to go to. It's got to be at home
Yeah.
as well.
And that's what I always tell my parents, whether it's in PSB or just regular outpatient therapy. I don't live with your kids. You know, I can't be with them every day, but you are with them every day.
Yeah.
So especially my kids who have problematic sexual behavior, we really, Shekinah and I both try to really nail that down with them, is like, you're with them every day, and we only get to see them for an hour, sometimes 2 hours a week, because we have to do separate with them, but you're with them every day. And then after this is done, you're with them. We're not with them anymore. So you really got to understand the behavior and understand what to do at home so that the behavior doesn't.
I think you guys do a really good job about creating a safe place to have uncomfortable conversations.
100%. Yeah.
I mean, parents don't want to, some do not want to talk about those type of issues.
Yeah.
But what you guys do is you give them the tools and the courage to say certain words and to say certain phrases in the right terminology, to have straightforward conversations with kids and the people in their care, and then to have these conversations, because I mean, like, we know that kids are learning. They're learning from somewhere, right? They're learning in the world. They're learning all sorts of situations. But you guys are giving them tools to navigate that, but not just the child, because it's that full family approach, the full situation where everyone's involved. And I think that's really unique. And I think, speaking earlier, we were talking about evidence-based. I think one important aspect about this is, the effectiveness rate is pretty high.
Yeah. We have a 98% recidivism rate, which means there's only a 2% chance that the kid will act out problematically after
Highly
receiving
effective.
treatment.
Wow.
Clinically,
Is that
Yeah.
so? Is that high for a counseling agency like you guys?
Yeah.
What's the normal?
Like, probably for average therapy is you're already dealing with a 50-50 chance that they'll drop out.
Yeah.
With PSB, we haven't had any just drop out.
So you guys it sounds like you guys are really good at making the kid understand, hey, this is weird, don't do this. Or sorry, wrong words. Try to avoid doing this.
Well, and it's more so like the education. Most of the reasons why kids behave a certain way is because
they haven't been properly educated in that regard.
Properly
What's the root?
educated and have an understanding, like, what David said, the root of the issue. But the other big thing that we have with even trauma-focused cognitive behavioral therapy, which the last I looked was like an 87% effective rate.
That's a lot lower than 98.
It is, but that's still really high
Yeah.
than most trauma therapies. So that's not just like our rate at our office. That's in general the rate of that type of therapy.
I see.
And so even with trauma focus, the reason why that rate is there is because we also involve the parents.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the co-ed.
So I think that specialized training has helped us in our everyday counseling, because when you're doing everyday counseling with a kid, we're also involving the parents, which is, I will say, is a little bit different, because as clinicians, we don't get paid for that extra time.
I see.
That's kind of on us. So whenever you go to the typical counseling office, they're only going to see that kid for the amount of time
And
they
you guys
get
are a
paid.
small counseling office as well, right? So that, I guess, if you go to like a big, like Charlotte or whatever, you have big counseling agencies with just tens of hundreds of therapists and clinicians that don't really have this one-on-one ability, or one-on-one as in like personability, I guess.
Yeah, and I think too, it really depends on the agency. I know at Blueprint, we really value the care and the longevity of it, not just the money, which sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, sucks for our clinicians, I'm sure, because we do see a population where we're not getting as much money. But I think all my clinicians would agree, we're not in it for the money, we're in it to actually make a difference. And so we're also not in it to keep clients forever. We're in it to give
Fix
the
their-
clients the
their
skills
needs.
and give the parents the skills
I see.
so that they don't need us.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
trying to work ourselves out of a job so then we can then work with another
That's a
family.
wonderful way to put that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, I handle the business side of it, and I will say this: she's telling the truth, because I was kind of getting on to her for, like, you know,
We're not making
going,
any
but, I
money.
mean, like, we're doing really well. She's things successful, but I mean, I think, 8 or 9 months where you were, seeing people for free. You were carrying that care, some of those situations, not always, but the
Are you
idea
guys
of continuity of
do you guys
care
get
was
grants and
important.
stuff?
So we
Are you
do
subsidized
have
at all?
one grant, but it is for telehealth that David worked really hard on, and he did great with that. But it is for telehealth, and so yeah, eventually we'd love to expand to have more grants, especially for those that are uninsured, and
there
even
is
getting
a good, at least weekly, we get someone who has no insurance
yeah.
and cannot
And so
self-pay.
occasionally, there are some of our clinicians occasionally where that case might stand out to them and they really feel passionate about it and they want to be able to help. And so they do it for free, but we can only do so many.
Yeah.
So we don't really, and I know it's a podcast, but we don't really advertise that. And it's not something that, send us all the ones that don't have insurance, because it's not possible. In order for us to continue,
I mean, this is a business thing. I mean, without money, it doesn't happen. So you can take some, but you got to.
in order to, pay the bills,
Yeah.
we have to be able to bring in income. But I think that is the main difference of even when I hired clinicians, is making sure where their heart's at in it. Because like I said, when you meet with parents, you're not always going to get that reimbursement from that, but it's so important if you don't want that kid in therapy forever.
Does this make it, I guess, like, you have to find the right people for that? Does it just make it hard to grow as a practice? I know, like a lot of businesses, and it's really interesting, and that's one of the reasons why we wanted to start this podcast in the first place, was a lot of businesses here in Asheboro think that way. They're not in it for the money. They're in it for this community and to help other people. Whereas, and not to throw shade, but bigger companies, typically they see numbers on a spreadsheet and they go, hey, this needs to go up or this needs to go down in cost. As a practice and in terms of growing, is this something you'd recommend to other beginning practices? I understand the heart is where it's supposed to be, but
I think it definitely depends on that. And I think that you also have to have somebody like David who is going to look at the practical side, not just the heart side of
We're
it.
going to record this, right?
yes.
Because without that, then I don't think we would be as successful and be able to maintain, because the finances are so important to be able to have a business and do it right and be successful. As far as getting new clinicians, I never plan to hire any extra
Really?
clinicians.
Oh yeah, we talked about this when we went out to your site visit.
Yeah. And then it just kind of happened. I mean, I hired Hannah, which is I did plan to do.
And you guys are in a new building, by the way.
Yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
we're
On
in
Kivett Street.
Yep.
on Kivett. And so I hired Hannah and Shekinah, and I never planned to grow any further than that. And then I've had people hear about the type of counseling we do, the type of services we offer, and reach out. And that's where Addie came into play, where she heard about us and really wanted to work with us. So we hired her, and same with Jasmine, who is bilingual, so she even offers like even more to our community, in the sense that she can reach a lot more people than we can, because I can't speak Spanish. And so she came to us, and yeah, it was never in the plans, but we keep growing without the plans.
I think that ends up happening to a lot of businesses, and especially business owners that like don't foresee that, but stuff goes well and then it happens. Would you say you have any particular takeaways from that you would give advice to another starting clinician or someone that's trying to start this sort of I guess not necessarily therapy, but someone is another business owner that what would you tell them at this current? Because I know you guys deal with a lot of people. You guys are a people dealing business. That's probably the difficult part of that.
I think the key in it, and I mean, David can speak for it and Hannah can as well, I'm sure. But I think the key for me has been to, well, be patient, be patient with myself as I learn. But also, if your heart's not in it, then I don't think it's going to grow and be successful. If you're just in it for the money, I think eventually that will end. It's kind of like right now the Nidos are so popular, and I say that because I'm trying to get them for therapy clients.
Nidos?
Yeah, they're like squishy toys.
Squishy fidget toys.
She sent me on a wild goose chase in like 2 or 3 different places to buy
There's a
Nidos.
Nido?
Look 'em up.
Dumplings, like the squishies. They're great for
Like fidget
therapy.
toys.
Fidget toys. They're
Yeah.
great for therapy, but
Oh, I've seen these before. I don't
All
know if, I
that
don't know
to
if the camera can
say-
see them.
it's like the really big hype right now, and people are making money off of it, but that hype is going to end.
I see.
And maybe they're going to be it.
Insert picture.
I'll throw a
Yeah.
picture up. I'll edit this. Yeah.
And so that's the hype right now. And that's what people are looking for. And eventually, though, somebody who's in the business of that, like, it will die down. But if your heart's in it, then you're going to keep going. And I think that's the key, is having a passion for it, because whenever it isn't so pleasant, or you're dealing with things and people and their real lives, then
Makes
it
it
gets difficult. But if your heart is in it, then it will continue to grow. It's you're too young to remember this, but Field of Dreams, for all the people that are older, like, if you build it, they will come. And so I feel like if you build it, and you build it in the way that it's not about money, it's more about where you're passionate about, then it will come, and it will happen, and it will continue to grow.
I can talk about business advice situation, but the only squishy thing that I'll say, when I say squishy, I mean the feeling things, is that when what you guys are working is self-care. For whatever therapists and things like that they needed to make sure that they take time for themselves to breathe and to
Not get burnt out.
Exactly. I mean, you guys are seeing people at the worst moments in their life, and you're not leaving them there. You're picking them up, you're carrying them, you're teaching them how to walk through it. And you can, I mean, it's going to be easy for those things to attach to you. And I see, like, coming home as the husband of a clinician, I see her sometimes coming in carrying a lot of that weight, carrying a lot of that. And so she needs to make sure, for any husbands or wives of counselors out there, make sure that you are, supporting your spouse and supporting those people and those you love, and make sure that they, maybe I should wash the dishes more. Maybe I should do more laundry myself.
Put that on the record.
But the idea is that,
That's
or
going-
maybe
that's going.
For
just
the
like,
permanent record.
I'll give you some money to treat you on getting your nails done or something. But, those type of things is just really important, I think, for anyone in this field. And just to be clear, there's a lot of great therapy offices across
Yeah.
Asheboro, Randolph
Yeah.
County in the region, and they're all doing great stuff. There's, unfortunately, or fortunately, I mean, it's not a negative thing to have therapy, but the idea is that there are a lot of people who are walking through this, whether it's just everyday anxiety, there's everyday problems, or traumatic events. And there's not enough counselors for everyone who should be visiting a therapist to visit. And so it's not like a competitive atmosphere. From the business perspective, what I would say is those who are looking and engaging in this area, look at some flexibilities. Look at how you can have accessibility and how you can reach different people. And so, as she was mentioning earlier, you've got these situations where she was wanting to have, she was going to have 2 therapists, maybe 3. And then all of a sudden, she's got 2 other therapists who bring tremendous skill sets and backgrounds and opportunities. And then you're having 3 interns coming as well to learn. And the truth is, you are at capacity of your building at 3 clinicians. And so she's had to be creative in working. I mean, she's turned a closet into a working
I remember
space. She's
seeing
turned,
that,
yes, as you've come and helped us,
Yes.
we've all of these sort of things, and they've done a lot of good work. But part of that was realizing the moment we are, right? We're in a situation where we're in rural North Carolina, and that goes back to some of the grant that we're working with the Department of Health and Human Services, is that there isn't necessarily enough physical space for everyone to grow. And in order to grow, in order to meet that need, we are meeting people where you are. So they have a couch in each of their therapy rooms, but people out there can also go to therapy on their own couch and have web-based services where they can have telehealth opportunities. And so that's an opportunity to where you're able to tap in for folks. Because I'm from Robbins, and it's 45 minutes away to get to anything, to get anything to eat or to go to a doctor's office, a
There's
specialty
no
office, or a
cookout in
counseling office.
Robbins.
Shame.
The nearest cookout, I believe, is in Albemarle.
Oh, I mean,
I think that's a 25-minute drive. Is that more than that?
Perhaps, yeah. I mean, I just know
It's a 30-minute drive to Asheboro.
100%.
Yeah.
And
Or
so,
45 minutes if you're like me.
oh, she drives
And
too
an
slow.
hour if you get behind a tractor or a cow.
That's true.
But you guys have a chicken shack.
Oh, yeah, the chicken
There
hut.
is a
Chicken
chicken
hut.
hut.
We gotta get that
Sorry.
right.
Sorry.
So, but that's the thing, is that there are so many people, and this is, I mean, telehealth therapy is something that's, we've seen clients who are, moms who are, open up their iPad at soccer practice, while their kids are doing soccer, and that meets their busy life. But there's also those who work in 2 or 3 different jobs who can't either afford to drive 45 minutes, either from a time perspective or from a monetary perspective, and they deserve care too. So how do we meet them where they are and make sure that there's, they have devices? We have ways that we can work with them to get devices. We have ways that we can work with them to make sure that they have proper internet coverage to be able to have the telehealth services so that we can reach them. And that gives them operational capacity to not have to be in a therapy room as well. They can
Especially
do it in
a
a lot of
limited
different
building,
places,
right?
in a limited building.
Yeah.
And, we've worked with partners, of course, on making sure that everything, we're not, on that side of the business where it's not just some big name app where you are a number on a sheet. Is local clinicians delivering care, and they are doing it through secure network provided by partners. And
Thank you for the plug.
all of those, HIPAA compliant, everything, but make sure that, that it's very, very important that they are holding on to the ethical standards, the delivery mechanisms, but they are able to continue to grow even when the physical space doesn't allow it. And I think what, we say one of the good things out of COVID was being able to navigate that space. And I think what they've been able to do exceptionally well is that they're able to marry in the in-person therapy with virtual health therapy that gives flexibility of time. There's people in different areas who can't, need to do something on their lunch break, but they can't drive from Raleigh or they can't drive from Greensboro. So there's all these opportunities that now they're able to meet the need that would not have been able to do that before. So as businesses are expanding, they got to be able to think, whatever sector you're in, how can you provide the service in a way that they can consume it? And that is
Accessibility
I
of the
think what they're
clients,
doing well,
right?
100%.
And is that a grant from the Department of Health because they are trying to, I guess they as in the government, are trying to expand that for like America? Like, why is that grant applicable, I guess?
It's a rural infrastructure grant. Or telehealth infrastructure grant, TIG. There's another acronym for you.
Nice.
Out of the Office of Rural Health, out of the North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services. And the General Assembly, I mean, we have our great legislators, and they, allocated money for this program, and they've, and there's a competitive process, and they've done through several waves. And we applied and went through it, but the idea is to expand access to rural areas and rural census tracts. So our focus has been, rural, Randolph County is rural, Moore County is rural, and so is Montgomery. And those are our focus areas. We may even expand to different areas as well, but those are areas that we are focusing and having some intentionality about reaching out and saying, working with primary care providers, working with community partners, and saying, how can we work together to make sure that your folks are able to have this service and to have the equipment that they need, to have the internet that they need, and to build these relationships. Because what we find is that, with juvenile health and with or juvenile justice systems and with just rural health care in general, that there's not practitioners in these areas. It doesn't necessarily make monetary sense. And so how can you still reach
That's the
folks
benefit of the
and meet them?
telehealth.
100%.
Okay.
So if they're able
Accessibility.
to have that accessibility in ways they did not have it before. And it goes in line with other goals across the state, right? I've worked with expansion of broadband internet, expansion of all these areas. There's fiber in northern Moore County. I would have never thought that growing up,
Yeah, I
right?
had fiber at my house.
I had fiber at my house when I was living there.
Quite
And,
new,
you know,
yeah.
before that we had dial-up basically. But that opens up opportunities for real healthcare outcome changes.
Mhm. That was a very good segment, David. Thank you for that, by the way. Very business focused. I like it. I guess this goes back to the mental health sort of side, but are there any really big misconceptions with a like counseling as a whole, as a space, therapy? Is that stigma of like this is what I thought for a long time, and this has changed since I've become a teenager, I guess, and I guess now I'm an adult. But like the idea of like, hey, therapy is lame if you go. You're not as witful and strong if you don't talk to other people about your things. Are there any other like misconceptions that you would say that you would like other people to know about that they shouldn't be afraid of talking to someone, reaching out? Because I know that's a big thing.
One that I hear oftentimes is therapy is for crazy people, or counseling is for crazy people. Especially like my older clients. And then they get into therapy and they're like, wow, I really thought like I was crazy because of counseling. They're like, really, you don't have to be crazy. Like anybody can go to counseling. Anybody can benefit from what we're doing in that therapy room. So a lot of people are like, or they come in and they go, I'm crazy. That's why I'm here. And I'm like, you're not crazy. You're not crazy at all. Like it doesn't, you don't have to be, people think like you have to have this major personality disorder, or you have to have this really, really tragic thing happen to you. And you just can't get through life without going to see a counselor. And that's why people go to counseling. But really, it is
Normal
for
people,
anybody. Normal,
right?
What is normal?
I guess
though,
so.
right?
Yeah. That's also that's also a bad stigma. Not everyone
But
is normal.
That is
in a
one
sense.
that I think we get a lot. Is you have like people who go to therapy are crazy.
I would like to add to that as well.
Uh-huh.
I think that not only is it the stigma of people that go to therapy is crazy, but it's also like we're trained to know how the mind works and how to know how certain things might affect you, even typical everyday things. Whereas the average person, if you don't have that education, then often you can be confused, which leads to more emotions. So it's not all about like getting into your feelings when you're in therapy. It's also about providing the education, because that educational piece is actually what most people lack in. With that education, then they can have an understanding of why they feel how they feel or why they do certain behaviors, which then helps them change them and helps them reframe things. And then on the flip side, whenever it does come to like more severe things like trauma, you know, I always talk about, even with parents, like parents, we have all these books. Like when David and I had our first kid, we were given all these parenting books, like
So much
what
advice.
to expect.
Was it useful?
Some of it was, and some of it wasn't, you know. But whenever a kid has experienced trauma, or even an adult, there's no book that necessarily says, this is how you parent when your kid's gone through something
Every
tough.
situation is completely and utterly unique, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we're not trained for that. We're, as parents, you know, as clinicians, we're trained, but as a parent, like you're not trained for certain behaviors that your kids may have or certain things that they experience. So from the parenting side, it's also providing them that psychoeducation so that they have an understanding of why their kids behaving that way, how they can help, but also in that they not only learn better parenting skills, but also learn ways to deal with their own emotions on it. Because I mean, I'm sure you guys, I know you don't have kids,
Yeah.
you know, but whenever you think about it, like your parents are dealing with different kids, different things that they go through, different experiences, and how do we handle that? we can try how our parents did it, and often that doesn't
I
work.
guess that's the difficult,
It's a different
the
world.
impossibility of parenting. You never really know what you're gonna go. I mean, I'm not a parent. I can't speak on that, but this is what I've been told by my parents, and it's like, it's a universal human challenge.
Can I just bring it down even just more basic than that is, I mean, everyone out there, how many people have actually feel like they are heard or seen? I think a lot of people have a lot of behaviors, whether they or whatever they're displaying on social media at all ages. Because let's be real, I mean, my parents were on Facebook before I was, right? I mean, it's just all throughout. I mean, people are searching to be heard and people are searching to be seen, even if they don't want to be looked at. And therapy as an opportunity, yeah. I mean, so that is it. People, I mean, how many times do people really feel seen or feel heard? And I think that is the real crux of kind of everyday therapy, whether it's just anxiety or whether what's going on in trauma based or any of that, that you're able to have a conversation because it's not, you're not weak, you're not lesser than, you're not crazy, you're not, you're not all of the things that reasons why people would stop. I think Blueprint has been very insistent, whether that's on the delivery methods, but also in how they communicate about breaking barriers to care. And I think at the fundamental level is that you guys are creating a space where people are truly seen, people are truly heard. And I think people don't know that's what they're missing. And I think that is really key to what you guys are providing.
Well, and I think too, with therapy, it's not meant for us to be this person that's in your life that's telling you advice on what to do or how to live your life based on what we want from you. It's more so helping you discover what you want out of life and what your belief system is and your morals and what you want to accomplish versus the judgments and the desires of those around you. So it's less about giving advice and more about helping them figure out what they want and then directing them on how do we get that now? And so whenever you go to a friend to talk, that friend has
their own bias and motives.
When they're talking to you,
Even
or
as
if
a friend,
you
yeah.
even as a friend, because they want you to succeed in what they feel like is success, or they want you to do things that also benefit them sometimes. Whereas whenever you go to a therapist, it's not about that. It's about figuring out why you believe what you believe, what do you believe, not just because your parents believe it, what are the things that you desire in life, and what does that look like? So it's also about helping guide that without having a bias towards it, to where like it's a space that is safe to be open and completely
It's about being
free.
heard, right?
Yeah, and completely like not just even heard, but like free to be heard, like to be truly all the stuff on the inside that we don't want people to know about us, or we're too afraid to talk about it because of the stigma or embarrassing things, or we don't want people to know that side of us. And so it's a space to be able to talk about that freely without having to carry it outside of that room.
We say, like, what do you want out of life? What do you want to be? Those are questions that people expect people to have answers to, but people don't have the guidance or the assistance without, a lot of times with therapy, to help walk through what it means to discover that for yourself. And people, expect you to have answers, but you guys give them the tools through evidence-based counseling and those type of opportunities to figure out, to actually walk through so you can actually have an answer. I mean, how many people are out there without answers to those questions? And they just are rattling off what someone's told them without having to work through it.
I mean, even the adults that we work with that are, older, it's, well, I do it this way because that's what was expected out of me. Or I chose this career because that's what others wanted me. So it goes it goes even on those simplistic levels of just everyday choices that people make out of the fact that they want to please those around them, and then they're not true to themselves or what they feel like they're called to do, or what they truly believe. And therefore, that's where we get those behaviors or that depression or anxiety over things because it's not something that they really believe. They're just doing it out of, that's what I was told I need to do, or out of.
So something people don't even realize that they're doing, that they're actually
Yeah.
doing. Oh.
Yeah.
People have lots of emotions. It's hard to regulate. That's what therapists are for.
Yeah.
That's why we're here.
Teaching that so that then they're equipped to regulate their own.
Yeah. I always tell my clients, because they oftentimes come in and they're like, well, I just want answers, right? And I'm like, I tell them, I'm not here to give, right? I can't advice. I'm here to partner with you. I'm here to walk alongside you, to give you the tools you need so that eventually you can self.
Mm-hmm.
You won't need me anymore. I can help you regulate those emotions that you can go through your
This
everyday
is about
life.
working yourself out of your job.
Yeah, it's about working yourself out of that job.
Sounds terrible, but that's great. That's great that you guys do. That's at the forefront of.
Well, I
how you
always
guys
tell
work.
my clients, like during their intake session, I'm like, this like is forever.
Yeah. And
some of
people
them
think that.
They're like, well, I know the minute that I get into counseling, it's going to be forever. So like, it's this big thing that I have to commit to. And no, actually, if I was keeping you here forever, I wouldn't be.
People are
I
stronger than
wouldn't.
they realize.
And then they go, oh.
How long do you keep a client on average? Like, not for crazy trauma, like someone that just needs a little bit of.
It can be anywhere from like 3 months to 6 months just for like some everyday things.
Stress, anxiety.
But truthfully, with trauma therapy as well, it can be the same 6 months.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Because we are such a regimented based type therapy that we're not here to just like have fun or to like really talk about your day to day. We do that, but we have goals in mind of you accomplish this. And most people are shocked. They're like, oh, I thought this was going to be years. And sometimes that is, but that should be like the 2%. Sometimes those are people that have chronic things that just keep reoccurring.
Or have very complex trauma.
Whereas for the most of our clients, the goal is we see you, we equip you, and we're here if you ever just kind of need like
some
maintenance or a check-in or just somebody unbiased to talk to that you don't have to re-explain your whole life to. But the goal is that they won't need us, which sometimes, I'm just going to be real for a minute, as a clinician, sometimes that's great, and sometimes it does hurt a little bit because you've been with that client weekly, you've been a part of their
kind of bond
healing.
with them, right?
Yeah.
And it's a therapeutic bond, but it's still like this, you're happy to watch them move on and graduate from therapy because that also shows that you did the job that you were supposed to do. But it is hard to also be like, get out there, you can
get
do
out there
this.
and do it.
It's like a bird.
Yeah.
But that goes back to the self-care, right? Because you're building these relationships with folks, but if you see a client on the street, you're not going up to them saying hi.
Oh no.
In fact, you're going
hey,
going
girl,
because
no.
of HIPAA, because of all of those things. You assisted them in that part of their life, and you've created bonds. But then they grow and like a bird and going out and doing great things. And
they're not meant to be a part of our lives.
Right.
And I think that's where, with the team that we have, and that's why it's so important that I think Desiree has cultivated the team that we have, because we set people free in their own journey all the time. And a lot of times the work that we've done is really, really hard work. Like, I know things about people that, they just break you wide open. And because Desiree has cultivated a team of passionate and uplifting and supportive people, we can each support each other in that journey because we're with each other today and we know each other and we're all doing the same work and we all understand the magnitude of what we're doing. And I don't think that if she had built a team like that, we wouldn't be able to support her as much as we.
The importance of a good team in the workplace. And
Yeah,
that's what you should really think about.
I think the other thing is I also do supervision for my clinicians. And I think that the goal in that is also to not just be talking about cases and what they need to do and things, but also to help them prevent secondary trauma, because we can get that as clinicians, where we hear so much about trauma and then now it affects us. And so not only to help that, but also, like David said, the self-care thing. And I know lots of people roll their eyes about self-care and it's not meant to be this like, oh, I'm pampering myself, but it is something that you intentionally do so that you can fill your cup, basically, so you can continue to pour out to others, because it is
So you can
giving
perform your
that.
best at work, right?
Yes, because
Yeah.
if we don't take care of ourselves, then we end up being in the same boat as that client, where we're drained and we feel like we can't handle everyday situations of our
Clinicians don't
own.
have clinicians, right?
Well, we do.
too.
Yeah.
I highly, that's the other thing, like I really want out of my clinicians, like in their own time and space, to also seek that. Because like I said, we're humans and we go through our own things as well. And you got to deal with those. So then we deal with a lot of things that we can't tell the world about.
Yeah.
We can't, when somebody asks, how was your day at work? You're like, great.
It was
But
fine.
nobody
Yeah.
wants to hear about, well, I heard about this deep, dark trauma and this, and then I see these people out in the streets that cause this trauma, and nobody wants to hear about those things.
Right.
So in order to not weigh down other people or place that cause other people secondary trauma, you know, we really have to take care of ourselves. And going to a clinician, to at times whenever, like, we don't stay in therapy either, but it is an important part of it, to where at times when things get heavier and we need an outside perspective, that we can do that as well. So I do encourage that within our clinicians, because it's important. It's important to keep our minds clear, so when we walk into that room, we're not carrying on what happened at home. Right? And we're able to just fully focus on that person. It's also important that whenever you're telling me about something that happened and you're crying, that I'm not sitting there crying with you and like, oh my gosh, that's horrible.
That's what a friend would do.
That's what a friend would do.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying as therapists we can't ever be emotional. There are some things that do cause tears, but we have to still be able to
Regulate
carry
yourself,
it.
right?
Yeah, to where they don't feel like they just hurt us
Yeah.
by telling us something, and now they're like, oh my gosh, I made my therapist cry.
Yeah.
Nobody can handle what I've gone through.
'Cause you're the pillar. You
Yeah.
can't crumble.
No, and she's a crier too. Now, let me be like,
Is that
she's a
difficult
crier,
for
so
you?
she's had to work on that. I think.
Well, actually, I don't feel like I've had to work on that in the therapy room.
Yeah.
That's fair.
That is not
Work is work.
Well, I thought I was going to, because when I say I'm a crier, like, I can cry at a commercial. I can cry on spot.
Anything.
Like,
Literally anything. I
But the
say.
second you step into that room,
really. And so I was worried that if I step in there, my client starts crying, I'm going to fall apart too, because I am very empathetic and I can cry on spot. But it is different, because when you step in there, you're not tied to what they experienced. They're not your friend. You're
Right.
not connected in that level. And that's where, like, being professional is so important, but also being real and acknowledging, like, that is really hard, that you've walked through that, and being able to, shut it off in that sense, like, you're there for that. Now, when I leave the therapy room, have I cried? Absolutely. Because some things is like, how in the world could this happen? Or this is just hard to hear. So yeah, that's one thing I've been very proud of myself of. When I stepped into being a clinician, is I thought I would really struggle with that. And I can say the only times I've really gotten teary-eyed is at a graduation where they're leaving therapy.
Yeah. That's usually the hardest.
And then one time when I was an intern, but that was when I was an intern.
Yeah,
So, you
you're
know,
learning.
I was a newbie. But whenever they're leaving and I'm excited for them, it's not this like sad crying. It's this like, wow, look at all that you've accomplished. And you did that
Tears of
on your
joy.
own. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it is emotional in that sense. So I have gotten teary-eyed, but not like boohoo crying.
Yeah. And I think when you step in that room with each client, you remind yourself, this isn't about me. So much of therapy, a lot of people think it's about the counselor, but it's not really, it's not about us. It's not about how I feel about that situation, because I might be really mad about that situation. That person might be really sad about it. It's not about how I feel. It's about validating how your client feels. And so it is a little bit easier to, at least for me, when I look at it that way, but this isn't about me. This isn't my, like, this isn't me stepping into my show. I'm not performing. Like, this is not, it's about my client. It's about where they are, what they're feeling, what they're moving through. And that's not to say when I leave the room, I don't have emotions. But also, part of being a counselor is modeling to your clients. So if something is causing a reaction for me, it's important for me to model regulation. So if I can't regulate myself in that therapy room, then maybe I shouldn't.
Emotional distancing.
Yeah, I mean, you definitely have to, in order to be a therapist, you have to, that's why it's so important for us to not see people that we know or have connections with,
Right.
to be able to be ethically sound and non-biased and be that person, because that's what a therapist is it's supposed to be that person, not a friend.
Right.
And so even whenever I've had clients like, I could really see us being friends outside of this, and I'm like, well,
Sorry.
that's great and all, but you'll have to stop therapy, and then
Let's talk about boundaries.
you can't speak to me for 7 years before I could ever form a friendship. And I think, honestly, some people are like, that's so extreme, but I think it's so necessary because it is such an intimate spot. And normally we don't even share these things with our most intimate, like, friends or partners and spouses. Like, we don't really share all this deep, dark, ugly stuff that comes out. And you share that with somebody and it's like you want to, but the goal is teaching them those boundaries, that you don't need me. And like, it's great that I'm here for you whenever you do, but I'm not your friend. I am here to help guide you to where you can have those healthy friendships.
You're just here to help.
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
here to-
You're supporting them. You're not a crutch.
Yeah.
No, we don't want to be a crutch.
And
yeah.
we also, like, as much as, you know, it makes us happy when we see clients succeed and we see them out in public. Like, some of my clients are adults that I saw when they were kids, and it's like, oh, but to see them like out there living a happy, healthy life, to me is so much more important than being a part of that happy.
This is the fulfilling part of what you get to do every day.
I think that's part of it. And or seeing clients use skills that you taught them. Like when I have a kid come up to me and they're like, hey, I use the stop steps this week. I'm like, period. I'm so proud of you for, they're like, I literally was going to do something that like I was going to punch my brother, but I told myself to stop. And then I used my steps and I'm like, that's what's up, man. And so like those things, like when a kid or even adult comes to me and they're like, you know, I used that thing that you taught me and it helped me to navigate this situation before I even got to therapy to talk to you about it. Like that's amazing.
Or like,
And that's the letting them walk on their own thing.
Yeah. Like if I'm going to teach you something, well, one, you're probably going to be annoyed with me because I'm going to be like, did you use that skill I taught you when we were in the therapy room? And so, yeah.
And I was going to say, just to mimic that, that literally, even the other day, a client walked in and was talking about, hey, I need to share with you this incident that happened. Okay, thank you for sharing. How did you handle it? And they tell me, and I'm like, you didn't need to share that with me. Like, you did everything that you are supposed to do. And so the only reason to share with me is to show how proud you should be of yourself. And that you were able to walk through something really difficult and handle it. And so whereas they thought like they had to come in and almost like tell them themselves, instead it was like, no, like you actually did what you've been doing in therapy, and you did it without any help of anybody else. And so there's nothing for us to process in therapy because you already did it outside
By
of therapy.
yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the skill set you guys teach.
It
Well,
is.
You guys aren't
trying.
just a service.
No, we're trying to teach them
people.
skills.
Education.
Yes. A big part of what we do is psychoeducation and teaching those skill sets and
And I
teaching.
think, I mean, Hannah, I know you could speak this for yourself, but I think like even when I was in school for counseling, that's not something that we were taught. That is why I'm like to teach that psychoeducation as much. I mean, we were taught it a little bit, but it was more about like repeating after them, you know, like
Not reflective, Socratic questioning,
all
things
those
like that.
things. But whereas the research-based therapies that we do, it's almost once you learn that and learn the psychoeducation, it's almost impossible to see a client who hasn't gone through a trauma and not use those skills to provide them with the same psychoeducation, because
It's just ingrained into how you
how
interact
we
with
do
people, right?
therapy. Yeah, because I think whenever you're equipped and you have the knowledge, why do you need me? If I don't give you the knowledge that I have as to why we do what we do or how to change, then all I'm doing is enabling you. And so if I don't share, it's like sharing that recipe. If I don't share that and keep it to myself just so you keep coming back to have to be fed, then I'm doing you injustice.
That's it, yeah.
So it's more about, hey, not only are you coming to learn how to, or to I guess, eat at the table, but you also get to take home the recipe so you can do it alone.
Yeah.
You don't need to keep coming back for more. You can do it without me.
That's a great analogy. Teach them how to cook. Teach a man to fit. It's like
And we actually
it's
do
the
that
fishing
with,
thing.
That's actually my favorite thing that I do with our little kids is I teach them a skill by cooking cookies. It's cookie breathing. So it's a
Nice.
form of deep breathing, to the point that budget guy over here was so mad because I was like, I need a fridge and I need an air fryer because I don't have a kitchen. And so I still want to be able to.
Stringent budget of the business.
Yeah.
And I'm just happy when you turn in receipts. You guys are talking about all this other stuff, and I'm just super excited I get a receipt back for anything.
I like to do it in real life. Like, how do we use this? I'm a visual learner, so sitting there talking is not going to work for me. So when I have a client that does that, we're going to cook together. We're going to make a recipe, and then I'm going to turn it into actually part of therapy.
I think I'd be
really
better
cool.
with it if I got to eat the cookies.
Maybe,
Oh,
but
incentive.
I might be in a better mood.
maybe, but
There might be more leeway in the budget if you can have a cookie or two.
You might get a line item increase.
he also makes fun of us saying that we just go to work to play Uno and games. I'm like, but we use those games to teach real skills. But also, so it's not so awkward with some people that are like, oh, I don't want to sit here and talk about my feelings. Well, great, because we're going to do an activity.
It's great.
So I think as far as I go, that's probably, even with my adults, I'm like, we're doing an activity of some sort, and it's not going to look the same as a kid, but it's not always just sitting here talking back and forth because
It's a little too serious, maybe too one-on-one.
It can feel awkward,
Yeah.
right?
We're human,
Like,
so we got to make it to where you're comfortable. And so if that means I got to talk about, I don't know, I've had clients talk about eyelashes for, or painting their nails or things that they enjoy at work. And that opens up the door to then be able to go a little bit deeper on the things that are harder to talk about.
be a little bit. Can't just be like a stick in the mud. Expect people to open up about all these really serious things.
Just looking ahead, is there stuff that you guys are looking forward to doing, like both in terms of the way you guys practice and the business itself? Is there stuff you guys have a plan for, like the next, 5 years, 10 years? Like, what is it they want to see out of a counseling? And I know you did just say you didn't even have a plan on hiring two people, but
I'm totally interested in this question.
So I will answer from my perspective.
from the owner, but not the business.
But not the business side, because yes, we do have like a 5-year plan.
Yeah, I wrote it.
And he wrote it.
Nice.
And
Go, David.
I approved it, somewhat, the parts I read.
100%. Oh, wait.
But that is where this is what I would recommend to a clinician, is that having somebody that is that side, like I said earlier, that can run that, because I don't like to take away from me being a clinician and me doing what the whole point in opening up a business was. And so I don't want all those day-to-day things to consume me. But as far as other things that we're excited about, yes, we have quite a few things. We have, well, events. We love to be out in the community and doing those partnerships with others. So any of the upcoming events that the community has that we've been invited to participate in, we definitely love doing that. And just building that. It's more than just about getting clientele or making our name known. I could honestly care less about the making our name known. And so looking at you, because I
I do marketing too. Yeah.
Nice.
I would do zero marketing if it was up to me,
No.
but more so about building those relationships with people so that they are knowledgeable about what we can help them with in those areas. Because like I said, some of the stuff that we deal with is not something that every agency does or people know about it. So right now, I know we've talked a lot about our problematic sexualized behavior program. Right now we see ages 7 to 12. And in the fall, we're going to be starting to see 13 to 17.
Oh.
So we're getting trained to be able to see
Crime.
a bigger age,
Puberty group.
age group.
Yeah. And so that's our next thing is in the fall, we'll be starting another program, but it will be for older kids.
We're excited.
And so we're really excited about that.
Yeah.
We're really excited about the telehealth and the partnerships that we've been working on to build that and to be able to go into like David's hometown community of Robbins, where we lived there for years and there is nothing.
Yep.
And so
Sounds right.
being able to not only reach people there, but also then making sure that we're diverse in that. And so being able to also reach the Hispanic community there and people that need services that it's not just easy to get. And so we're really excited about our virtual stuff and being able to kick that off. And we've already, started it obviously, but more so be able to really
Get it out
get
there.
involved and connect with those communities that don't have that. Because it is hard. It's hard to disrupt your life and drive 45 minutes for an hour long session and then drive 45 minutes back.
Those who've lived it know that that's like what you have to do for literally every every specialist appointment. And when you say there's nothing in Robin, that there's not a lot of healthcare opportunities there. But like I would say from the financial marketing side of this, again, there's nothing that I'm doing that you don't do or can't do, and that I'm just happy to be able to take care of some of those things so you can follow those passions. That being said, I've got tons of plans of what I would like for things to happen. Having some satellite offices, telehealth, and being kind of a hub and spoke kind of concept where you have different opportunities and locations where you can have some on-site facilities in some of these areas. You've got Lexington close by, you've got Robbins close by, you've got all these different areas where you can have additional opportunities, because while we are maximizing our space with telehealth, we're maximizing through telehealth because in person is getting
So
constrained.
limited, yeah.
We're going to need some additional flow, and I think there's or flow over spaces, and really be ingrained in that community. So I think there's elements of that I would love to see. And Desiree told me in the very beginning, about 4 or 5 years, again, because she's been in business, like Blueprints have been existed for a year at this point, not even a year. And she started out thinking, okay, we'll have 2 therapists, we'll do this. And she mentioned that earlier. And all the while on the business plan, I've already got a graph of percentages and dates and times of having 5 clinicians. So I'm going to do an amendment to do even more. And that'll probably be another part that she's not going to read. But
Well, she might read
yeah,
it.
she might read it, but no. And that's the thing, is that this is her business, this is her world. I'm here to support it, along with her team. And the only thing I ask is that you turn in those receipts that I've been asking for the last 30 days.
I've turned in all of them.
You've not?
Wow.
Actually did.
There's time.
So it's fine. He'll get them. They're on the
Eventually.
bank statement.
No, that's not a receipt.
that
Help me, somebody
He needs
help me.
them before
close
next year.
enough. It's close enough.
I get them all to him by the end of the month.
I think we've covered all of my talking points. You guys did a great job of following that, even though I didn't have to do very much intervening. You guys talked about Blueprint. You guys talked about your community impact, mental health, about Asheboro, about your business, lots of business. And I really do like that, Desiree, you are the owner, and you have your heart only set in being a clinician and helping people, and business off to the wayside. That's David's.
Yeah, I think
David's
that
debate.
whenever, I don't know, I don't
I
want
think-
to
but I
have
think
to
that's-
stress over
That's a really important
that, and
part of the
that's
self-care.
why- yeah. And I think it's been nice in the beginning. You know, I fought him every step of the way. I'm not gonna lie.
Yes, she did.
But now it's been almost like freedom in, hey, I know it's being taken care of, and I know it's being done ethically, and I know it's being done accurately. And so that's why I don't always feel like I have to read every single document except to spell check things.
Fair.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know that. We used to work together.
Okay, so the peanut gallery can be quiet. Okay.
And so it has been freeing in that aspect. The camera said, this is not supposed to last this long, and I'm done. But yeah, so that, I mean, the business, yeah,
Good team.
it's taken care of. I also think that if I started to get too involved in like the finances even more, then I'm going to be stressed about making sure that I'm making money.
Keep it afloat.
And then that means that, I mean, that affects in a session like of being able to work with people, and then it becomes more about the dollar sign versus the client.
I mean, that's the goal, right? Is that you're not looking, you're there to serve what the client needs, and you have all access and availability to do everything on the financial side that you need, but you are never going to be driven. Even if I wasn't here doing that, you're never going to be driven by that. You would probably, internalize and have to practice some coping skills of yourself on how to manage that. But like, that is never going to be what drives you. And I think that's a differentiator from, some of these Charlottes or the Raleighs, and great people there too. But like, she's in it. She's lived it personally. She understands the need. I'm proud of her.
That's what makes good business. It's the heart. I think that's a lot of what we have also seen here in Asheboro, and very appreciative of you guys coming on today.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Yeah.
speaking
Thanks
on
for
your
having
experiences.
us.
Yeah. So I think that is pretty much it. This was with Blueprint Counseling. You guys know your address if you want to say that.
Yeah, it's 119 East Kivett
119 East Kivett in
Asheboro.
pretty much in downtown.
www.myblueprintcounseling.com.
Pretty much in the middle of downtown Asheboro. If you need any sort of therapy, obviously they offer telehealth now. So please check them out. We appreciate them for coming on. We appreciate you guys for watching. We will be on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everything else you can possibly think of. There'll be clips on all sorts of social media, so please check us out at Partners in Progress on all platforms, as well as partnerscg.com. So yeah, that was our Blueprint Counseling episode. So thank you all for watching. Please remember to like and share and follow to stay in the loop. So catch you guys next time.
Nice. Now I need water.